So now I feel bad because I know from this TV show I watched that had Gillian Anderson in it that boys really especially are afraid of girls laughing at them. And I totally laughed. Rocker Boys, okay, you guys kind of deserve it. So that's not who the apology is for. It's for the preachers and the psychiatrists or psychology people. I call them psychology people, you know. They took divergent paths from a common beginning. They they want the same end result. And so, um, as an apology gift, give you this insight. Okay, so we'll just say it's not uncommon for people to wonder whether or not I'm a lesbian. And um, I'm not really I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about it because, I mean, as I've said, this is me at 44. I'm, and it only used to be better, fewer chin whiskers, and things were not mom ish. So it didn't really matter. I mean, pretty much any man, anywhere, anytime, if I felt like it, I can just go up and be like, hey. And they're like, wait, what, really? I'm like, yeah, I mean, and that's really about all the effort I have to put forth. And the only time that they say no is if they're already in love with another woman. Or if they're like woman hating assholes who like think it's their job to like judge my sexual morality. Usually after they've dumped me at least 10 times and didn't notice that they did it. Hang on. Okay, so like here's an example of what happens. Okay, so I'm still sexually attracted to men. It's just that well, the times I've tried to have a relationship with them, it hasn't worked out well. But, once in a while I get bored. I want to be touched. Anyway, but I'm going to tell you what happens in a particular case. So, none of the men that I've lived with 3 men, and 2 of them patently refused to eat the food that I cooked. I don't know why. They would cook their own food or they would go to a restaurant and then get food. Even if there was already free food in the kitchen. And sometimes even one of them would eat a food that other people cooked at their houses in front of me and talk about how he wanted home cooked meals. And then, okay, anyway, and also my food always lands somewhere between palatable and delicious. So I do not accept it's a gross food excuse. It's not gross. However, since they didn't eat it, I mean, there are 2 things that I could do, which is I can cry about it, or I can just cook the food that I want and they can get their own food, right? Which is what we're doing it. But so then I just stop thinking about what the man wants when I make my decision. So I do bake cookies now, but I use whole wheat flour and I've been experimenting and now I've pretty much got it the way I like it. I just have to figure out the exact measurements and make it into an official recipe. Or else, because I want to conquer consistency. I'm a very creative person. I don't do the same thing twice again, but like I've got a couple of like actually really good recipes that I'd like to write down and figure out scientifically the actual measurements. No, I don't. I just throw shit in a bowl. Um, so, um, so I I use whole wheat flour, and I had discovered stevia, which I didn't particularly care for, and then um, we found, but I was always kind of like on the quest for like the healthy cookie, and so no one likes my cookies except for me, but it doesn't matter. I made them for myself. And so if there's not a man around to critique anything that I do in the kitchen and I just get to do whatever I want, okay, and so what turned out, it's not that big of a deal. Like my daughter is still relatively easy. It's not that big of a deal for me to make her something that she'll eat if she won't eat what I eat. And I told like the roly poly, I'm just not scary. I can't just make her eat it. And Kara can make her eat it. It doesn't work when I do it. Anyway, so the governing principle at the top of my kitchen is not whether or not anyone else will eat the food that I make. It's instead always in the quest for my own perfect bowel movements. That was my gift to preachers of what happens when a woman is not ruled by her husband's desire. Not as bad as you thought, huh? And then also for the psychology people, I'm quite sure you can Freud that for weeks and weeks and weeks, maybe even years if you milk it right. Sorry about her.